What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. In our first news, Dustin Poirier shared a genuine moment backstage after Islam Makhachev's win last night. He explained that he hadn't planned on seeing anyone, but his shuttle arrived at the same time Islam was walking through the hallway. Dustin said he felt the need to stop and congratulate both Khabib and Islam on what they continue to accomplish. He acknowledged that what they're doing in the sport right now is nothing short of incredible. Dustin pointed out that Islam had just won a belt 15 pounds up, and he did it in dominant fashion. He talked about how impressive it is to see a fighter move up in weight and still take over with that level of control and confidence. He praised the entire team, saying their preparation, discipline, and execution are on another level. According to Dustin, it's not just about winning, it's about how they handle the moment, how they rise to the occasion, and how they continue to set a standard in every performance. He made it clear that he respects the work they put in and the results they consistently deliver. Dustin said that when greatness is in front of you, you have to acknowledge it, and that's exactly what he did. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to help support the channel. Moving on to another news, Alexander Volkanovski gave his live reaction to Islam defeating JDM, and he didn't hold back. While watching the fight, he joked about getting himself into the welterweight division, saying, "Get me at 170, get me at 170, as the stream laughed along. When the conversation shifted to who could give Islam real problems at welterweight, Volk immediately acknowledged how tough JDM is, calling him one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet and a serious competitor. But then he turned the focus to Kamaru Usman. Volk said Usman is definitely still a major problem for anyone at 170 and could be Islam's toughest matchup in the division. He pointed out how disciplined Usman is, how he won't take unnecessary risks, and how well he sticks to a game plan. Volk explained that even though Islam has handled similar styles before, Usman brings a level of experience and fight IQ that makes him a genuine challenge. In Volk's eyes, Usman might be the toughest test for Islam at welterweight right now. Moving on to another news, Demetrius Johnson shared his excitement about the idea of seeing Islam go up against Ilia on the massive White House card, and he made it clear just how badly he wants that matchup. He said that after everything happening lately, his interest in Islam versus Ilia has only grown stronger. He repeated multiple times that he wants to see it even more now, emphasizing how compelling the clash of styles and personalities would be on such a historic stage. Demetrius called on Dana to make the fight happen, saying the energy around this matchup feels bigger than ever. In his view, the White House setting would elevate the moment, turning it into something unforgettable for the sport. He expressed how the anticipation, the rivalry, and the atmosphere would create a matchup fans would talk about for years. With each word, he pushed the idea that this is the fight to make, the one that captures the imagination, and the one he believes deserves that spotlight. Moving on to another news, Robert Whittaker shared his thoughts on Islam's dominant performance over JDM last night, and he suggested that Islam might even have what it takes to move up to middleweight. He was asked whether Ilia could jump 2 divisions to welterweight for a 3rd belt and face Islam, but Whittaker paused and shifted the focus back to Islam's potential instead. He said he's genuinely thought about it, and the more he watches Islam, the more he feels Islam has the size, skill, and composure to make that leap to middleweight if he ever wanted to. Whittaker added that wrestling at that weight class is a whole different world, but Islam might be one of the rare fighters capable of handling it. Then he imagined a wild scenario, Islam versus Khamzat. He said that matchup alone would feed generations, describing it as massive, especially if it took place in Abu Dhabi. According to him, a card like that would have everyone winning, from the fans to the fighters. Moving on to another news, Bilal Muhammad reacted to Islam's win over JDM and shared his thoughts on the impressive performance. He said he's genuinely happy for Islam, recognizing the achievement of Team Khabib and Javier Mendez, who now have their first double champion. Bilal called it legendary status, pointing out that their dominance is among the most impressive in UFC history. He made it clear that someone else's success doesn't take away from his own. Bilal said he's not distracted by what others are doing, and that his full focus is on his upcoming fight against Ian Gary next weekend at UFC Vancouver. He emphasized that the next week is where he needs to perform, to show that he's still at the top of the welterweight division. Nothing else matters until he delivers a dominant performance against Ian Gary. Bilal said that finishing the fight with a great performance is his target and his priority. He wants to prove he's still the guy at the top and that his focus remains sharp, with all his energy and preparation dedicated to making the most of this crucial fight. Moving on to another news, Dana White spoke about Leon Edwards following his knockout loss to Carlos Praz last night. Leon is now on a 3-fight losing streak, and Dana admitted he's unsure what's next for him at this point in his career. Dana said this was a rough night for Leon and that he'll go home, take some time, and then the team will check in to see where his head is at and what he's thinking. He emphasized that it's too early to say if Leon's best days are behind him. Dana highlighted the intensity of the card, noting that every fight on the lineup was exciting and competitive. He explained that when fighters get in the octagon, anything can happen, especially when they're mixing it up with some of the best in the world. He recognized that the high level of competition and the stakes involved can lead to unpredictable outcomes, which is exactly what happened with Leon last night. Dana's comments reflected both concern for Leon's future and appreciation for the challenges fighters face at the top of the sport, acknowledging how difficult it is to compete against elite opponents on a stacked card. Moving on to another news, Shawn Brady released a heartfelt statement following his knockout loss to Michael Morales last night. He shared a photo on his Instagram and used the caption to update fans on how he's feeling after the tough setback. He started by saying he's healthy and doing fine, making it clear that physically he's okay despite the outcome. Brady talked about how this sport comes with the highest highs and the lowest lows, but he wouldn't trade it for anything. Every day he wakes up and gets to live his dream, and one loss isn't going to change that. He thanked his beautiful family, his team, his friends, his sponsors, and everyone who continues to support him. He said their support means the world to him, especially during moments like this. Brady called the loss just another lesson on his journey, something he can learn from as he keeps moving forward. He promised that he'll be back to training soon, getting back on the horse and pushing toward his next opportunity. Even though the night didn't end the way he hoped, his message showed a lot of resilience, gratitude, and determination as he looks ahead to his return. Moving on to another news, Dana White dropped a small but important update that immediately grabbed attention. During the UFC 322 post-fight press conference, he revealed that he actually called Jon Jones last night. It was a quick moment, almost thrown in casually, but it carried a lot of weight considering everything that's been happening around Jon lately. Dana said, "No, I talked to Jon Jones last night, actually," before pausing for a second. He didn't give any extra details, keeping things tight and to the point, and added, "Yeah, I got nothing to say about it. I don't know. I just talked to him last night." Even though Dana didn't offer specifics, the fact that he reached out at all shows that the communication lines between him and Jon are wide open again. With all the recent tension, apologies, and public reactions, this quick phone call adds another layer to their evolving relationship and leaves fans watching closely to see what comes next. Moving on to another news, Dana White reacted to Francis Ngannou's recent comments during the same TMZ interview mentioned earlier. Francis said that him versus Jon Jones would be the biggest fight ever, a mega fight unlike anything the sport has seen. But Dana, of course, doesn't agree, and he made that very clear. He said he would hate to disagree, but calling it the biggest fight ever just doesn't line up with the way he sees things. For Dana, the true biggest fight would be the winner of Cyril Gane and Tom Aspinall facing Jon Jones. He explained that Cyril and Tom still have to fight again, and whoever comes out on top from that matchup paired with Jon would be the biggest one possible in his eyes. When he was asked directly whether the winner of that fight would go on to face Jon Jones, Dana reminded everyone that Jon is technically retired. He said people keep talking about Jon as if he's fully active, but right now they'll just have to see how the entire situation plays out. Dana didn't budge from his stance, which isn't surprising considering his history with Francis Ngannou. After everything they went through, nobody expected Dana to suddenly back Francis's claim. Still, hearing him shut down the idea of Francis versus Jon being the biggest fight ever adds another chapter to the long-running back and forth between the two sides. And even with Jon retired, Dana's comments show that the heavyweight picture remains full of moving pieces, unanswered questions, and massive potential matchups that continue to fuel excitement across the sport. Moving on to another news, Jon Jones continues to troll Tom Aspinall, keeping their rivalry alive on social media. The whole situation has become its own storyline at this point, and John seems determined to keep stirring the pot. Recently, he once again took aim at the infamous eye poke incident, which has been a major talking point ever since their fight ended the way it did. Instead of letting it fade, John doubled down by reposting a video on his Instagram that highlighted Aspinall's reaction immediately after the fight. The clip begins with Aspinall in his Octagon interview, clearly frustrated as he talks about the eye poke and how it changed the outcome. He goes into detail about what he felt in that moment and how it affected his performance. Then the video cuts sharply to an older clip of Jon Jones during one of his own post-fight interviews, where he explains that he fought with a broken foot. The edit is designed to make John look like the tougher, more battle-hardened fighter, subtly mocking Aspinall for bringing up the eye poke while reminding fans of the injuries John claims to have pushed through. This kind of trolling has become a pattern for John, even with all the recent drama around his career, his retirement status, and the ongoing discussions about future opponents. He always finds time to take a jab at Tom Aspinall. And because the heavyweight division is full of uncertainty right now, every post, every clip, every comment adds fuel to the fire. Fans continue to speculate about whether these two will meet again, especially with John teasing a return while also keeping the rivalry hot. Whether it's mind games or just classic John behavior, he's making sure Aspinall stays front and center in the conversation. Moving on to another news, Joe Rogan went off on the UFC rules during the UFC 322 prelims, and he did it live on broadcast. It all happened in round 2 of the Bazangour-Suskalov versus Eric Makhachev fight. Suskalov, who is Khamzat's teammate and an undefeated 10-0 prospect, took a hard low blow that forced the fight to pause. While the officials gave him time to recover, Rogan used the moment to highlight something he believes has been overlooked in MMA for far too long: the steel cup that some fighters use for protection. Rogan questioned whether the steel cup should even be legal in the UFC, explaining that it gives such a massive advantage that it practically becomes legal cheating. He said there's a huge loophole in the rules that he's shocked more fighters haven't exploited. He described how the steel cup provides extra leverage in armbar, makes certain positions brutal for the opponent, and even breaks the foot of anyone who kicks it. According to Rogan, the steel cup protects the entire groin area far better than any standard protective cup, which is exactly why he feels it shouldn't be allowed. Daniel Cormier then chimed in, asking Rogan if he knew anyone else who used it. Rogan immediately pointed to the person sitting to his right, calling back to an old discussion. Cormier laughed and admitted he knew the advantage it provided. Rogan doubled down, saying it's legal cheating, and told fighters to use it while they still can, because he genuinely believes it should be banned. He told young fighters watching, "Use it, kids, before they take it away, because they should take it away." The exchange sparked a lot of debate online instantly. Rogan's argument isn't just about protection, but how much the steel cup changes grappling positions, scramble leverage, and even striking exchanges. If it really causes kicks to break toes, then it becomes way more than just simple protective gear. It turns into an unintended weapon. With conversations around fighter safety, equipment regulation, and rule refinement already growing louder, Rogan's rant adds even more pressure. Whether the UFC will investigate or make a change remains to be seen, but his comments have definitely pushed the steel cup controversy into the spotlight. Moving on to another news, after Islam Makhachev completely dominated JDM and became a 2-division champion, the MMA world erupted with reactions. Fans and fighters alike are now debating who could realistically challenge Islam, and the community is split between 2 main names, Kamaru Usman and Ilia Topuria. Each brings a completely different style to the table, making the discussion even more intriguing. Alex Volkanovski, one of the few fighters to ever push Islam to his limits, weighed in and agreed that Usman would be the toughest matchup. He pointed out that Usman performed exceptionally well against the middleweight champion Khamzat Chimaev, highlighting his wrestling, durability, and strategic approach. Alex emphasized that Usman doesn't take unnecessary risks and always sticks to his game plan, making him a smart, methodical threat that could pose a real challenge for Islam at welterweight. In Alex's eyes, that combination of discipline and skill makes Usman potentially Islam's toughest test. On the other side of the debate, Demetrius Johnson expressed his excitement about the possibility of Islam facing Ilia Topuria. He explained that Ilia's speed, power and unpredictable style would make the fight chaotic and extremely entertaining. Johnson said he wants to see the matchup more than ever, repeating several times that he is even more eager to witness Islam versus Ilia on the White House card. He emphasized the spectacle it would create and called on Dana White to make it happen, underlining how the clash of styles would be a historic moment for MMA. Johnson's excitement reflects how fans and fighters alike are drawn to Ilia's unique skill set and the potential fireworks that would come from facing Islam. Shavkat Rakhmonov also entered the conversation, reminding everyone that he remains a formidable force at 170 pounds. With his size, wrestling ability, and undefeated record, he presents a real argument for being considered one of the most dangerous welterweights in the division. Even so, Islam's next opponent is almost certainly going to be between Usman and Ilia Topuria, with each fight offering different challenges. Usman brings methodical pressure, grappling, and experience against elite competition, while Ilia delivers speed, unpredictability, and explosive power. Before considering a move up, Islam would need to defend his lightweight belt at least once, ensuring that his reign as a double champion is secured. The era of the double champion has officially begun, and everyone is now trying to figure out who can crack the puzzle that is Islam Makhachev. Both potential matchups are dangerous, exciting, and career-defining, offering fans two entirely different visions of what could test Islam the most. The debate continues, with fighters, analysts, and fans chiming in, but one thing is clear: Islam's dominance has set the stage for some of the most anticipated fights in MMA history. Whether it's Usman's calculated threat or Ilia's unpredictable chaos, the next chapter of Islam's career promises to be unforgettable. Moving on to another news, Dana White responds to Jon Jones's apology in a way that immediately grabbed the MMA world's attention. If you've been following the channel, you'll remember that Jon recently appeared on a podcast where he reflected on everything that went down with the Tom Aspinall situation. During that interview, Jon openly admitted that he regrets how he handled things. He said that when he sees Dana White in public, he plans to apologize to him face to face. Jon explained that one of his immediate goals now is to try to get on the White House card. When he was asked if he's been talking to Dana and how Dana feels about the situation, Jon said he's been giving Dana his space. He explained that Dana has changed his life and his children's lives, and he'll always be grateful for that. Jon said they had a verbal agreement that didn't go well, nothing was finalized, and while he doesn't see it as guilt, he admits he was wrong. He wants to make things right after the way everything went down. Jon said he wishes he could see Dana and apologize so they can let bygones be bygones and get back to making major money for the sport and entertaining the fans. The host even told him that Dana has always considered Jon one of his favorite fighters, and Jon joked that when Dana isn't feeling him, he's probably the reason Dana has a bald head. Well, that clip definitely reached Dana White because he addressed it during an interview with TMZ Sports. Dana said Jon doesn't need to apologize to him for anything. He even called him the GOAT again. Dana said that despite all the ups and downs they've been through over the years, he still believes Jon is the greatest of all time, and he thinks everyone else knows it too. He said there's absolutely nothing Jon needs to apologize for. Dana admitted that dealing with Jon has been a unique experience, but none of their history changes the fact that, in his eyes, Jon Jones is still the best to ever do it. Dana's reaction adds another chapter to one of the most complicated, dramatic, and legendary relationships in MMA, and it sets the stage for whatever comes next in the Jon Jones saga.